This is the Planning Commission meeting, City of North Ridgeville, June 10th, 2025. And we're going to start with a roll call.
Members of the board, Ali.
Present.
Toth.
Here.
Schumann.
Here.
Abens.
Here.
Smolik is excused. Members of the administration, Assistant Law Director Morgan. Here. Planning and Development Director Lieber. Here. City Engineer Evanson. Here.
Okay, we're going to start with the Pledge of Allegiance, if you'd like to join us. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Members of the commission should have a copy of the regular meeting minutes from May 13th. Any questions? Everybody good with them? Okay. Seeing no problems, I'm just going to go ahead and approve the minutes as written. Okay, now we're going to move into correspondence. Administrative approvals and zoning certificates.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Since your last meeting, we had 2 certificates for zoning compliance approved, one for Center Ridge Dental and one for Tavos Tacos. So we welcome them both to North Ridgeville.
All right. We're going to just briefly go into old business. We have before us, and hopefully all the members of the commission have read the master tree plan for the city of North Ridgeville. Any comments, questions, anything from the commission?
Yes, through the chair.
Go ahead.
Yes, Mr. Thomas, I think that's a great plan that you drafted here, and I think it's a step in the right direction to establish and maintain the tree canopy here in North Ridgeville. I particularly like the program that you had floated regarding a memorial type program, and I think you see with the banners that they've put up and down Bainbridge for the Veterans Memorial Program, that the community does support those types of programs, so I think that'd be a great way to get some canopy restored into our parks and our public areas. So thank you very much for the efforts on this, and I think it's a step in the right direction.
Thank you.
Anybody else have anything? Mr. Toth, would you like to recommend, make a motion to recommend approval?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the master tree plan for the city of North Ridgeville.
Looking for a second?
I'll second.
Ali.
Yes.
Toth.
Yes.
Schumann.
Yes.
Abens.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay. New business, Harvest Ridge Church. We'll start with the administration.
I'm gonna read it.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
PPZ 2025-0354 Harvest Ridge Church, 35544 and 35600 Lorraine Road, PPN 07-00-024-101-101 and -109. Owner Michael Moyes, Dobie Pallets, 35544 Lorraine Road, North Ridgeville, Ohio 44039. Proposal consists of rezoning parcel number 07-00-024-101-101, located at 35544 Lorraine Road that is currently zoned I-2 Light Industrial District in the eastern portion of parcel number 07-00-024-101-109 located at 35600 Lorraine Road that is currently zoned I-2 Industrial District to be rezoned to R1 Residence
Director?
Mr. Chair, Harvest Ridge Church is interested in acquiring property immediately to the east of them at their current location at 35600 Lorraine Road. As we embarked upon this discussion of the potential of rezoning that industrial parcel from I-2 to R1, we also had discovered that the existing church site has a bit of split zoning on it, where the majority of the parcel is zoned R1, but a chunk of it, including a portion of the building and parking lot, is in the I-2 district. So churches are permitted in the R1 residence district and most other residential and commercial districts, but not in our industrial districts. So this seemed like an opportunity as they're pursuing the rezoning for the Adobe Pallets property for their future expansion, also to then clean up the split zone situation of their current parcel on Lorraine Road. You know, I reviewed our master plan, and we recognize the Harvest Ridge Church on Lorraine Road in our future land use plan as civic or semi-public use. And this area of Lorraine Road also shows that the Adobe Pallets is proposed future employment center. And you know, and this is kind of an interesting and unique case because there's very practical applications to the rezoning of the portion of Harvest Ridge Church, and Adobe Pallets is really unique to this particular location. First, it corrects this unintended nonconformity, so it makes the church building and the site improvements a legal and conforming use on the current property. Also, it's worthwhile noting, and you can see in that map up there, that a large portion of the Harvest Ridge Church property is bisected on the other side of State Route 10, and so that's more than 20 acres of its 28.38 acres of land. So that's really effectively separated from the church campus. So as the church looks to expand, it doesn't have practical ability to add on to a building across the highway. So expansion to the east is just a logical approach in this case. And finally, you know, church use is not incompatible with the existing land use and character of this area. So even though Adobe Pallets was shown as future industrial, there's really kind of a mix of uses along this corridor of Lorraine, including industrial uses, residential uses, and civic use. So rezoning of this property to R1 would not prevent the future development of remaining I-2 properties from being zoned industrial. And you know, I think the residents have been used to having this church in this location and the traffic associated with it. So I do support this rezoning request and suggest the Planning Commission make a positive recommendation to council.
Thank you. Engineering?
No comment, thank you.
How about the law director? Okay. All right. Somebody here representing the church? Come on up. You got to give your name,
Oh, my name's Kevin Crow.
your address.
My address, 9049 Reed, North Ridgeville.
Nice.
And yeah, I'm the pastor at Harvest Ridge. I've been there for 33 years since we started in my living room. So yeah, been around a day or two. I just think it makes sense. If we're, right now there's a tad bit of a mess. I've been looking at it for a long time. And I would like to make this into something nice and potentially, I don't know, we'll turn it into green space. And let's see what happens with it in
Nice.
the future.
Good. All right. Any comments from the commission? Questions? All right. How about members of the public? Anybody have any comments here? You want to come on up? Come on up. You got to identify yourself, and you got to give your address.
My name's Raymond Allison. I live at 35793 Chestnut Ridge Road. The property across the highway is directly up to my backyard.
Okay.
So my question was just, what are your intentions for the property across the highway? Just plan to leave as is for now, or?
We would really like to make that property farmland. Just let it be farmland.
You got the big field there already too.
We're
so-
trying. yeah.
Okay, was just
So
curious.
We're working with the rest of it for
Pleasure
that.
meeting you.
Yeah, pleasure meeting you. Yeah, shame we have to meet here.
live across the highway.
Isn't that nice? This is why we have these meetings.
Yeah, it's great. Nice to meet you.
You're making friends. All right. I have nothing. This sounds good to me. No additional And anything I'd like to add to that? Anybody on the commission got anything? Questions, comments? What do you got? Go ahead.
Through the chair, the reason why R1 rather than either B2 or B3?
You know, I guess property that's split zoned is already split zoned R1 and I2, so to continue that use. Also, the property that abuts on the other side is R1. I mean, I feel like the church is making a long-term investment here, so I'm not sure if it really matters if it's like an R1 versus a B, any B district. I think their intent is, you know, to use it for a church purpose, so I just think R1 makes the most sense. Would introduce yet another district in this area.
Also, not the property, I guess that would be directly east, but the property next to that, which is basically an open field, I believe, it looks like. Do you know what that's zoned at this point?
That's I2. As you head east, there's a, Tina, if you could move to the,
Could you turn your mic on?
sorry. Okay, so, ooh,
This one?
yeah, so the red, the triangle of red, the furthest left part that pokes into that white, that's a very technical explanation of what I'm talking about here, but that is Harvest Ridge Church. And so then the parcel just to the right of it, it's red, that is Dobie Pallets. And then beyond that, you can see more red, red, red. So all that would be industrial and continue to be industrial.
Is that something that would be on our agenda as we move forward with rezoning? Or would that stay?
The application before you is simply to remedy the split zoning
Okay.
of the one parcel and then to rezone the Dobie Pallets parcel. And the remainder properties are not part of the rezoning request.
Okay. Would anybody got anything else? Any questions? Anything? No? Okay. Would somebody like to make a motion that we recommend?
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the application for rezoning for the Harvest Ridge Church.
Can I get a second on that?
I'll second.
Nice.
Motion?
Ali,
Yes.
Toth,
Yes.
Schuman,
Yes.
Avens.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
So we're a recommending body. We make a recommendation, and then this goes to council, so. But you already have one councilman voted yes already, so that helps.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right. We were gonna move on now. Okay, we're gonna talk about the North Ridgeville High School Phase 2. No problem.
I'm going to read, I just wanted you to go ahead and set up. Second application, PPZ 2025-0357, North Ridgeville High School, Phase 2, 34610 Bainbridge Road, PPN 07-00-016-104-233. Applicant Claire Bank, then Design Architecture, 4230 River Street, Willoughby, Ohio, 44094. Owner North Ridgeville City Schools, 34260 Bainbridge Road, North Ridgeville, Ohio, 44039. Proposal consists of constructing a new high school and demolition of old high school, property zoned R1 Residence District.
Okay, so normally we start with the administration. Would you like to start?
Mr. Chair, I was actually going to suggest, I think it's more appropriate for the applicant to give their presentation for this case, and I'll follow up with remarks.
Sounds like they're ready.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. So I'm Claire Bank, address 4230 River Street in Willoughby, Ohio. And I think this is picking me up. So what we were wanting to do is to walk you through some slides. I know some of them were updated today that you got, so I'll probably give a little more additional explanation on those just to clarify some items. But thank you for your time. I know it's beautiful out, so I'll try to be efficient. So this is the proposed site layout. It's familiar to you, I know, from the Phase 1 plans that we came through before. The layout really is very much the same. The main thing that we wanted to draw attention to on this, one is it has more parking information, which I know was requested, but two, previously we had this area over here pretty tight to the site boundary. And I know in the last meeting it was suggested maybe we reorient some of the stormwater basins and driveways to provide a more natural buffer there. So we put the detention basins over there and pulled the parking and the drive off of those property boundaries to give more of a break to those neighbors. The other thing that we added to this plan, I think since you received it, was there was a question about crosswalks and navigation in the parking areas. So we added some white circles just to kind of draw attention to where students or teachers, whoever's using those parking lots, would be crossing. So we'd want a series of probably 3 there, well, not 3, 2, one across the main drive and then one across the drive into the parking area, and then one over in this area as well. So just planning those out. The striping is still kind of being worked on as we work through the final details of the project. This is just a diagram showing more information on the building heights and distances back. The tallest part of the high school is, of course, the fly for the stage, which is where the scenery would kind of be pulled up off of the stage. But it's over 200 feet from the site boundary, and it's set back over shorter areas of the building to scale down to be more appropriate to the residential scale that's around. And then we did provide an updated landscape plan, which is what this plan is showing. It's pretty similar to the original landscape plan, but it's changed out some species. I know there were some concerns around oaks and where maybe they were dropping acorns, things like that, and making sure that those aren't gonna hit any cars. And then there were a few trees that were close to some others that we ended up basically relocating so that they would provide more of a buffer instead of being nearby where they weren't gonna thrive before. So this updated landscape plan, this is sort of zooming into that eastern boundary because I know that there's, again, neighbors nearby where there will be this new school. So that aerial is showing the existing conditions, and it is a variety of conditions there. Some are sort of wood privacy fences, some are shorter chain link fences with some landscaping on people's property. So what we wanted to highlight here was putting a couple pictures of sort of the variety of conditions there, and then showing what trees we were proposing in that area. So we have, and of course this is going to be a bit challenging to read, but the top 2 images, which are showing where there's that stretch of chain link here, are a red sunset maple, and then a great green western arborvitae. And then on this other area, we have a eastern white pine and a white oak, which is more along, not just one, but a series of them along the property that's kind of still nestled on the high school property. So all those little, I guess, symbols are showing where the trees are located. And we have pretty dense coverage of vegetation there to provide that privacy for the neighbors. So then this is same diagram as before. The layout of the building really hasn't changed in a nutshell. And we'll view an animation here in a minute too as we walk around the outside. But this is a lot of the academic area. It's a 2-story portion of the building, trying to kind of step down and be pretty active along Bainbridge as far as what the building looks like. We have a lot of our arts in this area, so the Performing Arts Center, the music spaces, and then also the visual arts are all over there. And then the athletics are stretching towards the stadium, so that's where the natatorium is, the competition gym, and the auxiliary gym. And then on that same note here, we start to draw attention to where some of the entry points are. The largest triangle is that main entry point, so anybody that's visiting the school after the building is in session is going through that main entry, getting screened before they're gaining access to the rest of the building. The smaller triangles are secondary entries for various events or for use during the day by students. And then the second floor diagram, as mentioned, the academic area has a second floor. A lot of the other areas, there's some athletic functions sort of nestled between those larger volumes, but a lot of those are just, they're tall spaces. And then we've got a media center, staff dining, and Ranger Academy sort of in the middle near student dining. So then I know we shared this last time, but in April actually of last year, we did a visual preference exercise with the community, and we got over 1,500 participants, which was really great. And there were some themes that arrived out of that informed how we went about designing the exterior. So talking about it being a transition from the academic center, which is on site, to the high school. So in our material choices, you'll see us tie those materials in to pull it together as a campus. Trying to make it so it's somewhat timeless, that it won't look out of date in a few years, because we want this to be here for a long time as far as serving the community. We know it's a big investment. Having a pretty obvious entry, that's a good security feature because people know where to go, but it also is a nice showpiece for the building. And then making sure that students are covered while they're waiting to enter for the day, and making sure there's a variety of textures on the high school. So this was a hand drawing that we showed last time, and we wanted to kind of just remind where we were, and that shows those different volumes from a bird's eye view, so not how people are normally going to be seeing it. But it still holds true to how we're breaking down those volumes and trying to get them to an approachable scale for people as they're approaching the building. And then what we wanted to show you, we have some stills from an animation, but we always think it's kind of helpful to actually see you, I guess, travel around the building at eye level. So it's 4 minutes. So this is us standing right by the main entry and kind of moving away from it around the academic area. Near the main entry, there's a school store, which will be used, or it can be used during the day by students, and it will serve during functions as well. As we circle around here, you're circling around the academic area. So this is that 2-story area. We have mostly science on the first floor, humanities on the second. And what we were trying to do was form wings that would help break down the scale as we went around. It's primarily brick, and I can sort of point out the different colors, but that red is matching the red that's on the academic center. The metal panel, again, is matching the metal panel that's on the academic center. And then we have a series of sort of 3 different shades of gray, which we're sort of blending that traditional as far as the brick material, but then modern with the gray and sort of a newer color palette. We have blue, which is the North Ridgeville blue, so a nice deep dark blue. As we come around here at the end of the building, we're actually getting into the art spaces. So that's actually a 1-story space, a little bit taller than a normal 1-story because there's really creative things happening in there. Wanted to maximize the daylight that those art spaces are getting as well. So that's where you see those. And then as you come even farther around, you're getting into where the music spaces are. And the windows in there are higher up. That's to allow for more acoustic panels where they're needed as far as the acoustics within those spaces, and it allows for more instrumental storage if it's needed in the future within those spaces as well. Right now it's primarily in the hallways. And here you see that metal panel that's coming around, but the lighter colors are all that brick, and then we have that red band sort of at the bottom, tying it to the academic center and treating it like a campus. As you come around, so here now you're on the north side of the building. So the north side is where you have the Performing Arts Center entry, and it's reminiscent a little bit of the main entry as well. We're trying to have that sort of, pointy's not the best term, but sort of a statement piece to draw people to it. and separate from the main entry so that you can have people park in these lots and have easy access. Here you've got where this is actually mostly a student lot. So students would be coming in towards the student dining, which is back here. And then this is more athletic, so student athletes could be coming in there, or if there's an event at the natatorium, they would be coming into that sort of side entry that's on the natatorium. Here we're circling around the north side of the pool, so you can see some little wavy acoustic panels that are in there that are over the pool. And then this lower red area is a weight room. Again, trying to keep those athletic functions sort of towards the stadium, knowing that student athletes would be using the outdoor and the indoor spaces of these. And then as we circle around this last volume, this is the auxiliary gym. There's an elevated walking track in there and a couple, 3 courts. And then this lower volume here it's gonna serve basically like the community room that's up in the board office now. But professional development, serving functions during the day, events maybe after hours, so that's what that lower volume is that's right by the main entry. And then we are circling back to where the main entry is. And we have our flag in the middle of sort of that entry plaza. So hopefully that was a helpful way to see this building. But then these are just stills from it, so that main entry, the view along Bainbridge, knowing a lot of people will just be seeing it as they pass by the site. Performing Arts Center entrance. And then this east entrance, which is serving student athletes and events at the natatorium. And then these are the elevations. We know that these are harder to read than sort of the images, but this has the materials more clearly tagged if you ever need to sort of look at where exactly something is placed. The only one I think I didn't mention on the fly around was we do have like a fiber cement cap, which is what you see at the top of some of these academic wings. And then we do have phasing diagrams of the site construction, but I was going to invite Joe potentially to come up and speak about that, if that makes sense to cover that now. Okay, perfect.
Hi, I'm Joe Killian. I'm with Construction Manager Hammond. Our address is 1550 Corporate Woods in Uniontown, Ohio. I'm actually going to skip this slide. I think it'll be easier. So we included, this is obviously like a Google Earth satellite image. This was actually April. I'm going to skip ahead to, so this is summer of 2025. North is left. So essentially so on the south, or on the bottom left of this picture, we have the construction area for the Transportation and Maintenance Center that we're working on currently. And then we actually just recently started on the top right construction zone, the site work for the high school site. We're fenced in. We have a little bit more fencing to do still on would be the top of the drawing, but west of the site. And then currently working on the west parking lots and basically along Bainbridge, west of the site there, that orange box is some temporary overflow parking that we're putting in. So that's pretty much what it will look like for the summer. And then September, we have that temporary stone lot that I was just talking about. That's done. We're still working on the transportation and maintenance building. And then we're also pretty much wrapping up with the 2 west parking lots to turn over in September. Then December of 2025, we're just still continuing construction. We're getting pretty close to wrapping up the Transportation and Maintenance Center at this point. And then February, the Transportation and Maintenance Center is done. I think it's actually end of January of 26. And that's when we then demo the existing, I think that's the bus garage. I always get those two backwards. Yeah. So that's the maintenance building. We demo that, and then the bus garage that's north of that becomes our trailers for like our field office for construction. And then we're just continuing with the high school. And then fast forward essentially to May of 2028, the high school's done. And we take our fencing down. Let's see, was there a slide after? So yeah, this is essentially the finished condition, what it would be like. These are our construction traffic routes. I believe Kirk George from our office has worked through this with the city. And yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Director Lieber, do you have anything you want to add, or?
Mr. Chair, I just wanted to review some of the comments that were on my comment sheet, and some additional information was provided by the schools, and then we're still expecting some follow-up in a couple areas. So I wanted to draw your attention to those. So I'll just go through my list if that's okay.
Please.
Minimum required parking, the schools have provided documentation of the required count. So they're showing at build out 1,269 spaces, 1,139 is required based upon our calculation of employees plus sufficient parking for their assembly spaces. So that comment's been addressed. I'd indicated that they need to provide bike parking and also suggested that they show the crosswalks on their site development plans. So if those locations can be shown, that would be great. Lighting is probably the area that's the most outstanding. So I had quite a few comments related to lighting. Based upon the preliminary comments in our staff review meeting, they've gone back and they're incorporating the building lighting into the photometric. They've been moving some site lighting poles around, and so that photometric plan will need to be submitted to the city. I think we have an expectation that some variances will be required, but I'll do the review on that. I'll write that up, and if required, then that goes to BZA and doesn't really need to come back to Planning Commission. Let's see what else I had. We talked about the setbacks. They've shown the setbacks of the building. Based upon the height of the building, the location meets all required setbacks. And then last was buffer strips. So we had discussed, in the phase one that buffering and screening was appropriate for those properties along pits, and that has evolved from the idea of a fence to the idea of more natural screening is presented. I know our arborist had provided some commentary on the landscape plan, some of the species selected in various locations, and some of those changes have been made. And I would just, advise the commission that I think, a dense buffer is appropriate along that active location, along pits closest to the school. And in some cases, there's existing vegetation or opaque fencing. In some locations, there's not. So it's not exactly a one-size-fits-all border. So it makes it more challenging. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
So we should include these in our recommendation. We should we're asking for them to clarify about the bike parking, the crosswalks.
Those can be included on their updated site plan.
On the
or landscape
updated plan, okay.
It's nice when it's all on the site plan
Sure.
rather than on different sheets and parts.
And then we're asking for an updated lighting plan also.
Yes.
Okay. These are all subject, our approval subject to these, correct?
Well, the lighting plan, we know will probably be headed to the BZA just based upon our understanding of what the project will be. But that would need to be submitted, and then variances would need to be approved for that.
Okay.
The other items can just be submitted and reviewed administratively.
And then as far as the buffering along pits, do you have a recommendation about that? Like what, for us to just say that we'd like to see more buffering along pits, I mean, that's kind of vague.
Well, it's really up to the commission to determine the sufficiency of the buffer, and I know you've received some comments from our arborist about species and things of that nature, but that's really your job to
Okay.
determine if that's.
I understand. Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
Would the arborist like to say something at this point? Do you have any recommendation about the buffering along pits? I'm sorry to put you on the spot.
No, I reviewed their original landscape plan and gave some counsel on it and along that line. Depending on what their new proposal is, I would have to comment after seeing that.
Okay,
Is it-
And that was just received this afternoon, so I don't think Mr. Thomas has had.
oh, has even had a chance to look at it? I understand.
Yeah. Yeah. So the current one is the one, yeah, just sent over this afternoon.
Do you want to address that? Would you like to?
Yeah, I know that our landscape architect, I was trying to zoom in here, did increase the buffering some. I guess the piece that I would need to rely on our landscape architect, I guess as far as the knowledge that he has, is sort of the final size of those trees, and if it's, I guess, what sort of is represented here as far as initial installation and sort of what that final buffer would be once it's grown. So I don't want to, I guess, misspeak as far as sort of how much openness there would be between those trees, but I know he did increase it some from that first round as far as the buffering, particularly where there is more of an open fence.
Okay. Do we have anything from engineering?
I did have a few comments.
Good.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In addition to Ms. Lieber's comments, I just wanted to add that Chapter 1285 does require a 4-foot buffer at the end of the parking trees. I'm not sure if that parking layout has been finalized. I know, we intend to get a full set of drawings, so perhaps it hasn't been finalized. But the requirement does provide some additional space beyond those parked cars for drivers to pull up before they're actually in the drive aisle. And I think with new drivers and inexperienced drivers, that might be helpful to have that little buffer before the drive aisle. So I would definitely recommend putting that in at the end of the tree aisles. Engineering also would like to see an auto turn layout for those emergency services, especially the fire truck, and we could get you that template as well to run through the system.
Okay.
I just wanted to point out there were some additional comments made by the Assistant Fire Chief in his staff report concerning some of the locations of the fire line connections, as well as carbon monoxide detection and plan for hazardous materials. So I would just point your direction there to his comments as well. And that's all I had. Thank you.
No, the only thing I would add is, as far as safety goes with the fire recommendations, I would definitely make sure that those are approved by our fire chief or whoever is reviewing the plans. But other than that, no, it's a great project.
Thanks.
Okay. Do we have any questions from the commission at this point?
Through the chair,
Go ahead.
what is the capacity of the high school, the new high school?
We're planning for 1,692 students,
And present enrollment,
around 1,300, around 1,400.
1,400, so you're only anticipating an additional 100, 200 students over the next 15 years or so?
Yeah.
Also, as far as the buffer zone is concerned on the east side, I'm looking at your plans. Doesn't look like there's going to be a whole heck of a lot of school activity on the eastern side of the school. And the only recommendation I would have is you work closely with our arborist. If he approves it, I don't have a problem with whatever he decides is a good solution for us.
Is that what you're referring to, that 4-foot buffer? Is that on the east side there? I wasn't real sure.
No, Mr. Chair, in the parking lot itself, at the end of the tree aisles,
Okay.
there's no usually you see like a striped or curved island around those end caps at the tree islands, just to give a little bit of buffer for the
I see.
driver to pull up before they're actually in the drive aisle. And yeah, and some of the,
Yeah, we have some
and some of the
here.
other ones it's
Yeah.
shown, so just not in that larger.
Yeah, it's at the, like,
Yeah.
at these ends, I think is what you're, yeah, looking for.
Thank you.
Okay, any more questions? Do you have anything
Yes,
else?
through the chair.
Mr. Toth?
Could you explain the thoughts behind the right turn in and out only on the eastern Bainbridge access point? The thoughts behind that?
Yeah, so as we were talking through the traffic plan with the city, there was some discussion around the use of this northern lot, which is student parking. So I know the overall layout of the site looks different than the high school, but the entry points are the same. And sort of the people that are using those entry points are the same. So mostly in that northern lot, it's gonna be students parking. And they're using that sort of swoop that's from Wilcox currently. We're not putting any like concrete buffer or anything that would mean that nobody could turn left, but through signage and stuff, we're encouraging people to turn right just to keep traffic flowing and not backing up if somebody is trying to turn left into that entry point.
Thank you.
Okay, at this, anybody got anything else? Are we good? At this time, I'd like to open it up to the public. If anybody has any questions, comments, compliments, anything? Come on up.
My name is Matthew Crow, 35718 Lorraine Road in North Ridgeville. And I think it's a beautiful building, by the way. I wasn't even expecting to see this today, so it's awesome. I'm actually a soccer boys high school coach, and so yeah, it's pretty cool, and I interact on a regular basis at the high school. My one question was actually regarding to what Mr. Abbins, correct, with the number of people and that kind of stuff. Is there general business model that I've always kind of had, which is always plan for expansion? Is there a generalized location that has been told that expansion could happen in the near, in the 20-year future, 15-year future? That's the one thing that I just looked at, and I just didn't know if there was, let's say the model goes well over 200 students in the next 15 years with all the residential houses that are being put in. Is there a plan for that?
Yeah, so I know the student enrollment study that we did was for a 10-year forecast, basically. And the new high school is built to fit those, but fit those students comfortably. Like, there's room if the student population did go beyond those 1,692 students, that they would still be able to work within the building. But there are some areas as well that if it needed to be added on to, I think it could be. We haven't really land banked that necessarily at this point. But hopefully that, okay.
I just, it was curiosity.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Superintendent, do you have anything you wanted to say? There you go. Here's your chance.
Roxanne Casario, 34620 Bainbridge Road. I just want to say thank you, to the city for supporting what will be the largest construction project in the city. And it will ultimately benefit, I think, our entire community with the amenities and the opportunities that this new high school will provide for our city. So I know both TDA and Hammond and all of the engineers and everybody who's been part of this project, has really done an outstanding job thinking through not only today, but the future and the future growth and the future expansion of what our city is currently experiencing and the positive impact that truly has had and will continue to have. So thank you to all of you. ultimately at this point have not been any questions from the community. I think in large part the student population, our parent population are extremely excited and proud to have been part of planning this building to this point. We have had over 1,000 touch points with our community partners in terms of putting this building together as is. And so again, I'm very proud of the team that's in place and excited to see this completed. So we appreciate your consideration.
Okay. Anybody have anything else? Thank you very much. Appreciate it. I'm going to go ahead and make a motion myself that we recommend with the following requirements. That is to include the bike parking and the crosswalks more clearly on the plan. That the lighting plan be submitted and approved by the administration. We're going to ask for a denser buffer along Pitts Road, and I will leave that up to the administration to see that. And also a 4-foot buffer along the end tree aisle on the parking lanes. And then also include the recommendations from the fire department. And I'll ask for a second.
Second.
Ali,
Yes.
Toth,
Yes.
Schuman,
Yes,
Abens.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
thank you very much. Makes you kind of proud, don't it? Okay, we got anything else? That was it? I'm going to adjourn the
Through the
meeting.
chair?
Yes, oh, Mr. Toth, go ahead.
Yes, one final comment.
Sure.
This project truly is stunning, that this is actually coming to fruition here in our city. And I think everybody is feeling that excitement. And I would just like to publicly congratulate the mayor and his administration, the superintendent and her cabinet, the team at Then Design Architects, and the team at Hammond Construction for putting all of this together. I know that it's not always easy, but everything looks fantastic so far, and I'm really looking forward to see what you folks bring this project to life. Thank you very much for your efforts.
Thank you.
Also, that entrance to the, I don't know where you got the idea for that, the entrance to the auditorium, to the arts area.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the Cleveland Museum of Art. I don't know if that was in anybody's mind or not, but
Maybe.
very cool, very cool.
Thank you.
Okay.
Through the
I'm gonna-
chair?
Yes, go ahead.
I'd like to also add, as far as that Performing Arts Center is concerned, my belief is that it will be an asset to the community. It is not a luxury. It will be an asset, along with the swimming pool. It's surprising how many folks around the North Ridgeville are looking forward to that swimming pool. As I said, that Performing Arts Center will be an asset.
I'm going to go ahead and adjourn